All right, then since we successfully finished the collections, so now we have to discuss about the functions, Python functions. So let's go ahead and start working on functions. So here, so when it comes to functions, basically functions basically it's used to reuse the block of codes again somewhere inside whenever we need it. Is to reuse a block of codes, again somewhere inside the program during the runtime. So basically there are different types built-in functions. We do have built-in functions and user-defined functions, which is the custom defined functions by the user itself. Built-in functions like input, int, eval, float, these are the default built-in functions which is already in Python. In this case, we are going to discuss about the user-defined functions. Under the user-defined functions, there are wide varieties like function with parameter and the return statement, function with the parameter and the return statement, and function with parameter and without return statement, function without parameter and with return statement, and function without parameter and return statement. So basically these are the different varieties. So it depends on the usage, like how you need that functions to be, right? So let's discuss about the functions and all the different variants. So in this case, we have to use the def. So def is the keyword called define. It's used to create a function, all right? So let's say that I'm going to create a function over here, so called define hello world. It's a function colon, and I'm going to use the multi-line string to add the description about this function. So if you are using a description about that function in the first line, if you're using the multi-line string inputs to give the description about the function, so whenever you're using that function, that will when it's showing the suggestion about the function, it will give you the brief description about that function when you're trying to import it in some other files or even inside the same file itself. Let me show you what exactly I'm talking about. So here, let's say this is the function. This is the function to print hello world or something else. Okay, so I'm just going to say print hello world. This is what exactly I'm talking about. Whenever I type the print function, it's giving me a brief description about that function, right? So if you want to do that, you have to do it over here. So save these changes. Now, if I want to call this function, all I have to say hello world, and you can see it gives the description about that function. This is the function to print hello world. Not only here, if you want to import this function in some other file also, we can do that. So first, let's fix this function so that we can understand. So this is the first variant function without. This is the first variant. So let's keep it like this: function without parameter and the return statement. All right, and the return statement. So if we wish to create one more function, define hello world. So this function takes an input. Let's give a name, and this function is going to be function with parameter. It's taking an input parameter and without return statement. It's not going to return any output outside, without return statement. So let's say return, not return, print formatted string hi, and here I need to give that name over here. So this is the function. Say hello or something. Let's keep like this, say hello or something. Then I'm going to have one more function like define add, and that's going to take two different inputs, A and B, and the B I'm going to have some default value for that B. So here, so this is going to be function with return statement and parameter and with default parameter, along with the default parameter, this is the default parameter. Okay, so I'm just going to supply the value for A. If I don't supply the value for A, the B will take the default value from there. Then I'm just going to say return. I'm going to return the string as answer. So here I need to display the value of A plus value of B equals to A plus B. This is the string I'm going to return. So these are the different functions. Let's say I want to access all these functions in a different place. So I'm just going to rename this file as functions. And I'm going to create one more file called app.py. So now I need to import everything from the functions inside the app.py. So there are two different import statements over here. One that is absolute and another one is the relative. When you're trying to import a file from Python file into another file, that we have two different imports. One is absolute and another one relative. So for first we are trying to do for the relative import. So let's say import functions. So I'm just going to import the functions, which is nothing but this file functions. So if I want to call the function, so all I have to do is functions dot hello world. So I can access that method which is from there, right? You can see hello world which is coming from the functions file. So save these changes, and if I wish to run this, clear python app.py, so that is going to execute that file. You can see hello world. So these are the different ways to access your functions from one file to another. So if I wish to access, I can give a short name, alias name like fun, okay, and I can use that alias name over here. So I don't have to use the complete name. This is the relative path, relative import path. Let's go for absolute import. So from functions, I'm going to import the hello world, and I'm going to say hello, and I'm going to bring the add functions. This is the absolute, so I can use these functions directly over here like hello world, just like the own function of this particular file. That's the absolute import. You can see just like that. So if I wish to say hello and I have to send some input over here, so I'll say John, save it, and then I'm just going to say print add, and this function takes two different inputs. I'm going to supply 5 and I'm going to supply 5. Run it, and you can see hello world, hi John, 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So if I don't apply this 5 for the B, so what happens? So that will take the 0 as the default value which I mentioned in that function. Okay, so this is all about the Python function. So how to create a customized functions and how to use them in a proper way, and how to import them from one file to another. This is all about the functions that we have to know. All right, so let's learn how to use the dictionary to create as a multiple choice options, like choosing like menu options, how to create a function, how to create a program allows the user to choose the menu, if the user wants to get withdrawal or a deposit or a banking. So you can see that banking transaction actions, right? Usually it will display the list of menu options. We able to choose which option that I want to run. So we can achieve that by using the dictionary. Usually in the mother programming language, we used to done it by using switch case, but in this Python, we don't have switch case. So we can use the dictionary and the functions to make it work in that way. So what I'm trying to say over here is, so I'm just going to create a function over here, define my choices over here, and I'm going to send the choice inside. And I'm going to have the list of options over here, options equals to. So option number 1 is going to, let's say, addition. And option number 2 is going to be subtraction. And option number 3 is going to be exit for the timing. You can, if you wish to add much more, you can choose as you wish. And finally, I'm just going to return a function, return options dot get the choice, this particular choice from this option which we have. If we don't have anything, so let's say invalid option, invalid option. This is the thing, right? This is the function, and I'm going to get that function over here, my choices, and I'm going to delete all these things. So here I'm just going to say ch equals to int eval of input. So basically we don't need eval, so we can use it int itself, because user need to supply the int only. Open it, and let's use the multi-line string, enter, and let's keep it as option number 1 is going to be addition. Option number 2, option number 2 is going to be subtraction. Option number 3 is going to be exit. And option number 4, that is going to be the not option number 4. Here we need to say select your choice. Select your choice. So user given choice will be read it in the string input, and it will be converted into a number, and it will be stored over here. Now what I need to do is, so here I'm just going to create an option colon option equals to my choices of ch. So I'm going to forward this choice, user selected choice, to this function, and that will come up over here. If the user selected option number 1, it will return the output as addition. If it is 2, subtraction. If it is 3, exit. If none of the above, it will return the answer as invalid option. So based on this, I'm going to check an if condition. If option is equals to addition, so we better use the same thing over here, addition colon, I'm just going to say print let's say addition. Then elif the options is equals to subtraction, then I'm just going to say print subtraction. Elif if the option is equals to exit, I'm just going to say exit. That's it. So we are going to keep all these stuffs into the inside the while loop. So I'm just going to keep this inside the while loop. So restart is equals to yes, while restart in the list of arrays like yes, 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 y, and capital letter Y here. So we have to bring everything inside over here. All right, save the changes. Now let's run it out. And so every single time whenever the user wants to user selected the option, so we have to ask the user that they want to continue or not. So restart is equals to input press yes, no to continue. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to give for every single option. All right, so now if the user choose the addition or subtraction, once it's done, it's going to ask the user to, do you want to continue? If the user wish to continue, again it will get start over, and if the user choose the option exit, then it will get exited. So let's check it out. So python python 3 app.py. So now it's asking us to choose 1 addition, 2 subtraction, 3 exit. So if I choose the option number 1, you can see it's showing addition. So it's asking us to, if you want to continue or not. So if I give yes, again it's going to display the options again. If I choose the option number 2, it's saying subtraction. If I choose the option number, if I type yes, then it's going to continue. If I choose 3, then it's going to exit the program. So this is how we can use the menu options when it comes to file. So we can use the while loop in a more interactive way, and we can use the functions to maintain the code easier. So we can keep all the functions separately, then we can use it inside whenever we need it. And every time when you are trying to access the functions from one file to another, you can see there a new folder it's created called pycache, which means this functions folder, it's cached in your local memory. So you don't that, which means it doesn't import this function every time whenever you are running. It's imported, and it caches this function memory and keep it in local. So it will access the local memory only, unless if you make any changes in this function directly in the functions file, it's going to recache that entire file and keep it in the local memory. So it doesn't need to import the file every single time to avoid the loading and to avoid the unwanted memory access and everything, right? So this is all about the functions concept that we have to know. So let's move on to the next concept.